Welcome to taking down the Wanderer 4 tent. So we have enjoyed a night of sleep. We've woken up in the morning, we've had our breakfast, and we know now it's time to take our tent down. One of the first things I want to do is get my bags and make sure that I have all the tent clear. So I might take a good look inside. And so I unzip it here, short distance here, and I'll see that my tent mates have removed all their gear, and I'll reach into the pocket where I keep my bag, and of course all the bags that I need for putting my tent down are in here, at which time I'll close the door. I like to leave my tent with the doors closed as opposed to open. It's sometimes a debate, but what I will do is open the doors just slightly, about a few inches, maybe as much as 12 inches on each side here. And I'm going to do the same later on the other side. And I've got myself my bags. I'm going to need these, and I don't want to fold up my tent with them inside, so I get them out first. The next step is going to be to start removing the fly, and to do that I'm going to remove the pegs. So if I'm going to do that, I might as well reach into my bag and grab my tent peg bag, and that way as I remove them I can put my tent pegs back. And so one, and I'll clean the dirt off of them. Can be rather nice soil here, whoops, and I can just go around and pull them all and put them all in the bag after I've been around. And leave some nice wormholes here in my lawn. Help it grow. So once all the pegs are out, I'm going to tuck them back into the bag, and probably at this point, if I've got all my pegs, I'm going to fold the lid of the bag over and put this strap around it. Hopefully you see that there. Works really nicely. Just putting it around and seals it off. And I'm done with that for now. I'll set it on top of the bag so it doesn't blow away. The next step is going to be start removing the fly. And the process is essentially the reverse of what we did before. So I'm going to start by removing the peg, the clips on the bottom of each peg. Okay, so these were the last. So you see here, I got to pull the tent down, and this can be tricky. I got to get it flat. Got to keep this coin flat as I pull it down with this whole grommet, I guess is what they call them. Got to be flat. If I try to twist it, it's not going to come off. So that's the challenge. So I go around and I just take the fly pieces off. I don't knock the tent down. Okay. Right away with the pegs removed, you see that the vestibule has collapsed. And again, here we go. Last one. And I've now loosened that part of the fly. The next step is to go back and get each of my Velcros right here. And I try to, just to protect them, I try to roll them back up again. I'm going to flip this way. The fly is often the only part of the tent that is wet, and so I may have to work quite efficiently and may not want to flip it up like I'm doing right now, but my vestibule is dry, so I have the privilege of doing that. You may want to shake your tent off, get as much water off of it as you can. Even the dew in the morning can be quite heavy and create a fair bit of moisture. Preferably you're not packing that moisture and carrying it with you for the day, and you're allowing your tent to dry as best you can. Sometimes we want to get going early in the morning though, and there's no other option but to pack up your tent a little wet. There'll be time for it to dry tomorrow. Okay, so we've done that. Now the next step is to remove these toggles that we did before, and it's easier to do it from this side. It's more from the open side. So I'm going to grab the pole. Remember, again, bend the pole down a little bit to the side, and that will slip off. This is now free, and on the other side it will come quite free easily. Once again, with 2 people, I'd probably give this thing a really good shake and get any moisture off of it. Almost every time I do this in the bush, I'm dealing with a moist situation. If I got a clothesline handy, I'm going to hang it on that clothesline and I'm going to give it an opportunity to dry out. I might even do this part of the takedown, getting this off, and I might even repeg the tent if it was windy and allow this to dry on a clothesline so that I don't have to peg it. Then go have my breakfast and know that my vestibule is going to be nice and dry, or my fly is going to be nice and dry. All right, so now we're going to move to the next step, and if you recall, it's the same thing, it's just the reverse action of what we did before. So I'm going to start taking these clips down, and I'm going to always start with a 2 on this end, and I slide this one off. Again, it slides a little bit away from the tent. Here, these ones, I find the easiest way is to turn them a little sideways and push. So it's not that difficult to get them off. Turn them sideways and push. And again, on this side, 2 hands, slide this one away, boom. Sometimes I can get good and get them with 1 hand. It doesn't want to work with me there so much. Sideways and push. Now, the same thing with all of these other ones. Now, I had mentioned before, you could leave your stuff in the tent up until this point. It would be no problem. I like to leave a little opening in my door somewhere, maybe just a little flap at the top here. I can do this just so that air can come out. And you're going to see how this impacts the tent. I have 2 on the other side. And now I'm going to go around and take all these ones down. And I'm going to work my way down one pole and then another. And I can do it with 1 hand, as you can see here, quite effectively. Oh, of course, I say that, then it doesn't work for me. And away we go. And all the clips are now off, and the tent is just going to kind of collapse itself down. I don't need to worry about it. Give it some time. It's going to come down, because my next step is to go around and remove all my poles. And before I even do that, I'm going to take off the ground sheet clips on all 4 corners. I want them off. Don't leave them on and try to take the poles down. You will regret it. It starts pulling the ground sheet all over the place. It makes quite a mess, especially if there's any moisture again. So I've got that done. And then I look around my campsite and I say, well, which side has the most room? Which corner has the most space to work from? That's where I'm going to take down my poles first. So I will probably want them to come out this way. If that's the direction I want, I'll take this pole out here and that pole out, and I'll let it come down. Okay, so I just lift it up, slide the pole out, and bang, the whole unit falls this way. I've got to still release these. Not a big deal. They're going to come around and out come my poles. And you'll notice that the tent is still basically sitting in the same shape. I'll make sure that my poles come out of the other 2 corners. And here we go. And the air has now sort of relinquished from the poles. I want to fold up my poles for a minute. I might deal with my tent first. If it was really windy, I might want to get it folded up. It's not today, so I can do the poles first, but it doesn't really matter, okay? Standing in the middle, typically what I'll do is decide one of these 4 poles is going to be the one I don't remove at the stem. Say, for example, this one, and I'm going to fold all the other ones to it. So I'm going to kneel down, bend this one in, fold it in, boom, boom, and away I go like so. This is the one I'm going to leave. Boom. It's quite easy to do. Can be more difficult in the bush if you've got trees and other things. I've got lots of room here in my backyard, so I don't have to worry about it so much. And what you can see now is that all my tent poles are slowly coming together here, and soon I have myself a nice bundle of tent poles like so. And now I want to get them into my bag. It's not that difficult to do. Come over, and of course my tent pole bag is in my tent bag. There it is. Has this nice little yellow extra strip on it in case you want to strap it to a pack. A lot of people keep their poles separate from their tent, and that's fine. You don't have to. You can share the load. For example, if 3 guys are using this tent, maybe one of the guys is going to carry the poles in his canoe and his pack with his partner, and the other guys are going to carry the tent parts. You might carry the poles and the pegs, and surprisingly enough, the weight distribution is pretty close. Okay, so now we're down to just the tent and the footprint. And there's my 2 bags, and I'm going to show you how to fold these up. Okay, so the tent itself, what I find works best with the Wanderer 4 is I come to the side and I'm going to fold it over to about this length. So using my bag, I'm going to fold it over to about 1/3 of the tent, and this works quite nicely. It makes me fill up my whole bag kind of evenly. So I'm not folding it halfway. I'm taking it a little bit past halfway to about there, and then I'm going to go over to this side. Of course, I'm just walking on the footprint, not the tent, and I'm going to bring this in like so here. I'll walk back. 2 people again, much easier job, better job done. And then I'm going to take this side and fold it over to here. I'm going to leave my footprint behind. I accidentally grabbed it there, but I'm not going to worry about it. Then I'm going to bring this side of the tent over, leave my footprint behind, and you can see now I've created a nice folded 2 folds, 3 widths in here, and I can work right on top of my footprint. I'll tuck in my screening there, keep this nice and even, and I'm ready to roll that up. But before I do, I want to deal with my fly. My fly was hanging on the line drying. Well, I had breakfast. I come back to it, and this I might lay out or use 2 people. In this case, I've got the ability to lay it out in my backyard here, and so all I'm going to do is go like so and fold it over. There's no real, the fly tends to be a little more difficult to fold, so I'm just going to sort of fold it like a fan back and forth. Bring this into here like so, maybe a little bit of there, and I'm going to lay this right on top of my tent, about the same width. How hard was that? That was pretty easy. And now I'm ready to roll it up. And if I'm rolling this whole unit up, I'm going to use my poles with it. If my buddy, if there's 3 of us in my group, one person's taking the poles, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just roll this up without the poles. Because I'm packing this tent as I'd put it away for the winter or something, I'm going to actually use the poles. So you'll see the poles are about the width here, which is perfect. And I just start rolling it all up. When I get to the fly, I just tuck it in and we roll. And since I'm on the ground sheet, it gives me a nice clean place to work. I don't have to worry about all kinds of dirt getting caught in. You notice as I come across any loose ends, I just tuck them in as I roll. This is always a bit of a challenge. Just have to slow down, let the air slowly go out of the fly. You don't want to rush it out and rip something. Take it nice and easy. And away we go. And I'm going to be right down to the end roll here. And I've got myself a pretty nice roll of my tent. Don't give me this, it won't fit, because it fits just great right into this bag. And I'm going to do this all by myself. Hopefully you can see me from the camera angle. I'm trying to tuck my head down and give you a better view. But it's just patience. and I work my hands through this, and I pull the bag right up. And usually the challenging spot is the loose end of the tent here. I just try to get my lip, get over that, and you'll see here that it'll fit in quite nicely, and there's lots of room to spare even on the sides here. And don't worry about tucking the last bit of the tent in. There'll be time for that in a minute. What you want to do is make sure, you can still stick your arm in here. I got my arm stuck in here because I am going to roll this ground sheet up and tuck it right into my tent, and that way I don't have to worry about finding it in another location. It's right with my tent when I want to go. All right, usually when I'm rolling this up, give it a shake, clean it off a bit. You can see here that there's actually a bit of moisture. Not uncommon that the ground has moisture in it. And I'm going to might leave this out to dry for a minute if I had something else to do. If I don't, what I'm going to do is grab, this is my vestibule piece here, so I'm going to grab these two and fold them together, and that way I'm going to go like so, and I'm going to try to get those two ends on the other side together. There they are, they're right beside each other. Exactly what I wanted. And so this piece here is the vestibule part. I'm going to roll it into the middle. Just kind of nicely unfold it here. And there we go. One more fold, and this puppy is ready to roll. And this should be about the width of my bag. Looks like maybe I'm a little off here. So if that's the case, just tuck this in a little more, right? And roll. Sometimes I'll even, if I'm worried about it, getting in brush grass or anything, debris off. This is just a ground sheet. It's not going to be on the inside of the tent again, so it's not as big a deal. And here we go. Now the next step is to put it in my bag, and lovely bag for the ground sheet. Probably not necessary. I could probably just tuck this whole unit right in the side of that tent bag, but since it came with one, I just don't throw the bag out. Probably could use it for something else. Might be a good bag to hold some toilet paper or something else. In the bag it goes. It's a little snug, but it works. Whatever you do, don't throw the bags out. If you choose to tuck it in, that's fine, but make sure it stays in the tent area, okay? So I'm going to flatten this as much as I can, because the next step is I want to stuff this down the side of this tent. Now, if I'm really smart, I look for a spot along here where maybe it's more likely to slide, and I use my hand ahead of it and just push it right, pull it right down, literally pull it down the side of the tent. And if I'm really good, I push it a little further, which I've done. My tent pegs go right on top of it, and now I simply put a little weight and pressure on here. You can see I can tighten this right up, and there it is, my Wander 4, right back where we started. One ball of tent, a house for 4. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you learned something, and we'll see you later.